Herbs release their essential oils only through special processes of extraction. We have to use either steam at boiling temperature or pressure at supercritical levels, that is the CO2 extraction, or solvents as chemical separating agents like hexane. When the lower pressure is used, then we need lesser temperatures, of course, and this is called vacuum distillation, which means that one distills under less or no pressure, so that the boiling temperature is lower. On Mount Everest, for example, you could probably distill it already at 68 degrees, or Mont Ventoux in south of France at 93 degrees Celsius. It can be interesting for certain plants, especially those which are tender, like the flower petals from Rosa damascena. That's what the Persians do when they distill rose on up to 3,000 meters altitude, when the pressure is lower and the boiling temperature of water can be under 90 degrees Celsius. So as you see, the principle is the lower the atmospheric or internal equipment pressure is, the lower will be the temperature needed to make the water boil and create steam. The outcome depends, as I said, on the plants. It makes, for me, not so much sense with plants like lavender to use vacuum distillation, because lavender has more dense plant particles, the stem and the leaves, but of course you can do it. The final judgment can only be the fragrance and the analysis of compounds in the end. But distillation is not just about boiling temperature and pressure in a distillation vessel. Distillation means sublimation of the work. And here you can see a picture of nature sitting in a tree of life chair representing distillation. She tells the alchemist to leave his narrow, mechanistic thinking behind and follow her. Let's say, follow her to the more subtle understanding of the quintessential human transformation. Here's a quote from Carl Jung. For the alchemist, the one primarily in need of redemption is not man, but the deity, who is lost and sleeping in matter. That means the subtle, universal energy. His attention is not directed to his own salvation through God's grace, but to the liberation of God from the darkness of matter. And who is that sleeping deity in matter? It is the essential energy or spirit, vibrating secretly behind the obvious, the visible, the tangible in us. It is the element of light, behind this illusionary darkness of the matter fields, concealing in their density and obstructiveness the realities of that element, which in truth is their own originator. So one can say for the alchemist, the deity or spirit element in matter, including the body, deeply yearns to reveal itself via the transformational action of man. The opus work of alchemy becomes symbolic account of the fundamental process the human psyche undergoes as it reorients its value system and creates meaning out of chaos. Distillation in this sense of herbs means churning, as we are churned in our own personal self-distillation. It means heating and cooling, expansion and contraction, sometimes alternating rapidly, several times, the polarity of life in a few hours. And self-distillation is nothing else, expanding and contracting, the polarity of feelings and thoughts, millions of times. We are all churned in the same vortex soup until the job is done. In alchemy, this is also referred to as the process of solve et coagula, dissolve and coagulate, which means evaporation and condensation, which means also alternating between the light and the heavy, the etheric and the matter-based elements. This is what happens in distillation, when the plant essence, the essential oil, is liberated from the plant glands, evaporates, solves, and densifies, coagulates again in the vortex of the condenser. When we take body or reincarnate, we condense, we coagulate our astral energies. Before we get free from the limitations of a matter-bound body and mind and its limitations, we have to learn to use it. That is the reason why we took this body, and that means we have to accept the distillation process within ourselves. Means also we have to go through our inner constant churning process of contraction and expansion, as I said, and accept the ups and the downs of our human condition. Make the best out of it. See it as a necessary laboratory job, which, to be honest, we have chosen ourselves to become free. And this, in other words, has to do with our own discovery of the vortical element with the universe via the serpent power, which in Indian philosophy is called the Kundalini. The Kundalini, the spinal energies within our own physio-spirituality. And for this, it is good to remember the principle of the vacuum distillation. Tender human plants, especially the human flower petals, should be self-distilled under low pressure and low temperatures. But the sturdy ones, which include solid stems and leaves, easily support a normal equipment. Whereas low pressure, low temperature distillation requires a complicated equipment, but which may be worth the investment for a better outcome, right? And looking at the imperfections of this process, this can lead to all kinds of intermediate disturbances or failed alignments like disharmonious feelings, diseases, unhappiness, depression, etc. Disease begins with an imbalance in the body's energy. We know that. The energy system is getting disharmonious, specifically on the level of interaction between heart and mind, feeling and thinking. One can also say imbalance of attraction and aversion, yes and no, love and hate, integration and frustration. In short, misinterpretation of the human condition, mainly through lack of true knowledge, which also means not understanding and not being educated to understand that the road to our outer and inner freedom is meant to be paved with obstacles. That's how it is. We wanted these challenges. I think so. We wanted these challenges in order to speed up evolution. After all, it's too easy in the astral world, right? That's why the German saying means stirb und werde, die and become. In the final sense, it is all about our inner light, our inner life, which we have to cater for. All the rest will follow. It means nothing else that we have to put our main attention on the essence and not on the surface alone, which is nothing else than learn to understand that we are beings made by energies of cosmic dimensions, quantum energies, and what is beyond. And on this level, everything solves and dissolves itself in the lightness of our being centered, in the transcendental bliss of our innermost being. But for this, we have to press the lemon or distill the flower in order to get the fragrant juice out. We have to get inspired by spirit, aspire to become that what we are meant to be, that what we are already deep within ourselves. Is it not amazing how nature has arranged everything in a very complex and at the same time in a very similar way? When the alchemists were speaking of liberating spirit in matter via distillation and transformation, they meant this phenomenal principle of the whole universe being structured in layers of energy. The whole creation is fluctuating in infinite numbers of frequencies and vibrations, some of them so condensed that they become tangible matter, others so subtle that they are so invisible that even until today we cannot even measure their power. Human thoughts and feelings belong to this. But we can say there is a spiral vortical dynamics in between all these layers made by spirit. Everything wants to connect with everything. And if some of these energy fields want to condense and become matter, all of them, after some time at least, want to decondense and dissolve. Heat the ice and it becomes water. Heat the water and it becomes steam. Heat the steam and it becomes what? So then, it is just a game of circumstances and inverted dynamics. Matter hides something else, which we cannot see, but which we can feel. When we eat a banana, our stomach extracts the vital essence of it. Stomach is not more interested in the beautiful shape of the banana. Get the juice out of it is his motto. Same for the alchemist distiller. Get the juice out of it. Get the essence hiding behind. Because the juice is more than the shape, and the essence is more than the juice. So nature has made us, the humans, natural explorers of this dynamics. We are all meant to be alchemists of our own life, pressing the juice of our innermost being, distilling the essence out of it. And that process will make us lighter and lighter in the battlefield of our life, will make us understand that we are beings of light, made to alleviate our problems, our sorrows, our angers, fears, hatreds, levitate with our inner spirit until even the physical body might levitate one day. We remember what the French scientist René Gattefossé, founder of modern aromatherapy, said. Today, like in old times, we can call volatile substances vital substances. Volatility and fragrance are signals of considerable physiological activity and energy. The volatility and fragrance aspects of essential oils empower each other, and they help us to get grounded when we seem to fly away in panic, and uplift us when we feel stuck in depression and moodiness. There is this hidden connection between the fragrant molecules of essential oils and the earth element. Ayurveda teaches that earth is linked to the sense of smell. And there is this hidden connection between the volatile molecules of essential oils and air, and the space element, the fifth element, or quintessential element. Volatility and fragrance empower each other. They make us feel more vital and more energetic. And why is volatility vitality? When matter, which in a sense is compressed energy, changes by itself becoming volatile, like in the essential oils, and this is not by the influence of heat necessarily, it kind of flies into space on its own, as if a brick would start to levitate. Naturally, volatile matter breaks the boundaries of gravitation due to the fact that it starts to behave on a kind of quantum field level, where nothing matters anymore except energy and expansion. We can say the drop of essential oil in its tendency to fly away, so to say, expresses its stronger nearness to spirit, as the alchemists would say, nearness to the unmanifest level of creation, from where everything starts. It just needs a little inspiration via the steam or the dissolver, and then via the coil of the separator, acting as the coagulator. Open and close again, fly away and get back to the ground. Die and become, we can also say, as we said in the German translation. The churning of the milk ocean, as it's called in Vedic mythology, is actually a picture of the cosmic polarity of concentration, contraction and expansion. The picture depicts the Vishnu Kumavatara and the churning of the milk ocean. The Naga, the king of serpents, Vasuki, is curled around the mountain Mandara. Vishnu, incarnated in the form of a great turtle underneath. Devas, the demigods, and Asuras, the demons, pull on the Naga's body to churn the water of the ocean for thousands of years in order to produce what? The nectar of immortality, Amrita in Sanskrit. This charming tale of the churning of the milk ocean, while extraordinarily simple, contains the details of a profound occult process. It illustrates the alchemical dynamics between two opposing forces, which generates the passage from chaos to cosmos. Cosmos is a word for order in Greek. The most important aspect of the churning tale is the creation of an axial alignment, a stable point around which the dynamic motion occurs. And the Kundalini, which is the Sushumna in the central part of the spinal cord, harmonizes the Ida and the Pingala. That means there is a stable point, or this axial alignment, as said before. And this churning in our own body takes place inside the spiritual human structure, inside the ocean of consciousness. That is a level where the subtle microcosmic alignment in man mimics the macrocosmic alignment. This alignment means also the harmonization between the male and the female and the male side in us humans, the animus, the male, and the anima, female side, as Jung expresses, the sun and the moon, the Pingala and Ida and the tree of life of our own spinal axis or Kundalini. And this is also the churning between the male and the female, which happens in our own distillation. The female and male outside and inside ourselves. Here the red king and the white queen in alchemy, always in a mood of reintegration of opposites. The churning of the ocean explained by the Theosophy, by Krishnamurti here, is called Samudra Manthan. We may compare mind to an ocean in which there arise waves of emotions and thoughts. We often use the word Manumantari, which represents the great churning in the mind. Whenever we are faced with difficult situations and are unable to decide what course to choose, when our mind is pulled in two different directions, it is subject to intense churning, and a great turmoil is set up. Human beings live to awaken the inner cerebrospinal energies in order to be able to withstand harmoniously the multiple challenges of the psychophysical world. So human evolution, we can summarize a little bit, concerns the reconciliation of all opposites, the reconciliation of the grounding and etheric energies in ourselves. In alchemy it means as above, so below. It means also the end of the flight between the eagle and the snake or dragon in ancient mythologies, the connection of the base chakra with the crown chakra, the reconciliation of Ida and Pingala, as we have seen, of the male and the female in each of us, the rise of the Sushumna, and unraveling of the reality and the paradox of life, of existence. We are in truth all just radiant balls of energy that pulses everywhere throughout the universe. All energy has certain frequencies of vibrations, and this frequency is what determines the evolutionary steps we create in our life, and we have definitely the choice. The good thing is to know that this frequency can be enhanced through positive thoughts, positive feelings, actions, diet, and also through essential oils. So then, back to the distillation and the churning. Herbal distillation in the final end is such an action which shows us how medicinal plants can release their essence. And this action can become a metaphor of how human beings can release their essence through seeking access to their deeper, more subtle energies in themselves, which means finding the answer to the eternal quest of the human soul. What is heaven? What is earth? What is the hidden above, behind the secret of our life, the enigma of ourselves? If the above can be found below, we can have access to it. We can understand it, integrate it in our lives. This means strip down the self-nothingness, leaving everything bare to be scrutinized. By gaining self-knowledge about one's nature and one's relation to God, the soul is reformed, the impurities expunged, and it is united to a pure and undivided thing. This is the purpose of self-distillation or churning, the purpose of the alchemy of human evolution. Human has to be churned. For churning means to distill ourselves, as we have seen, in order to arrive at the quintessence of our human condition, which means getting nearer to that what we are in reality, nearer to our soul, our body of bliss, ananda, as say in Sanskrit. And this churning is a process of opening and closing of the inner vortex of life, as we have seen, millions of times of yes and no, love and hate, integration and diversion, as we have seen, expansion and contraction, re-steamed and recondensed to finally release the light, the fragrant light of our immortal flower of life. Alchemy was an attempt to understand the soul's journey, the journey through life, and alchemists were spirit warriors, committed to personal growth and refinement, and preparation for the mystery of death and beyond. And in terms of purification, a central part of this process is the purification during which all the hidden subconscious impurities which impede the access to our essence have to surface. In alchemy, this is called Putrefaction. Also in the midst of the churning of the milk ocean, the first elements to appear are bad smells and lethal poisons known as hala hala, which escaped from the mouth of the serpent king of the demons. This is, in a sense, what in mythology is called devoured to be reborn, exposing oneself to the universal power of opposites, the heaven and earth inside ourselves, as we saw. In Mayan mythology, we speak of Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl here in this picture eating a man. This is this power of being devoured and reborn. It was not merely a historical or mythological fiction to the ancient Mexicans, but Quetzalcoatl was a figure that united spirit and matter. The Quetzal, the bird, represented a spiritual urge to take flight and transcend the bounds of corporal existence, and the serpent represented being grounded in the physical reality to the rhythms of cycles of nature. And then this means here, the deity represents the vital energy that is resting at the base of our spines. Quetzalcoatl represents the awakening of this vital force, this Shakti energy, Coyopa, or lightning in the blood, as it's called in Mayan mythology. And here we see this mythological picture even in the logo of Alfa Romeo. And it comes also back, the same story, in Red Riding Hood, the famous fairy tale. Devoured by the wolf, but meant to be reborn. And back to the essential oils. They help us to activate these central energies we were speaking of, central energies in our nervous system for rebirth in spirit. Messengers of light they are. They support our daily meditation in a powerful way, rising our consciousness through body awareness and mind awareness to the higher self. It is from here that we really connect, meaning that we create and live the bliss of being together with ourselves and the world. It is here that we have given up the deviations and falsifications of all the mental, psychological, social, environmental imprints and traumas. It is here that we have lost it because we have found it. It, meaning the reality of the human being as designed by divine intelligence. And here an example of one oil, Palo Santo, the so-called holy wood. Palo Santo is known among the indigenous people of Ecuador as, quote, the tree that perfumes the axe that wounds. It reminds us of a universal mystery expressed in the symbols of a paradox. Encountering pain or being frightened by death is a secret key opening the gates of a possible resurrection. It bears in itself the reward of a healing substance with its astonishing fragrance, gained by a gift by undergoing the accepted torture of an inevitable decay. Quote here on Palo Santo, The tree, by impact of an insect, naturally has to die after a period of up to 100 years of growth. Lying untouched on the ground, it takes 4 to 10 years of maturation until it develops the precious resin. Palo Santo is revered and used within the traditional religious and daily life for its purifying properties since times immemorial. The age-old folklore of native people prescribes ceremonial fumigations with Palo Santo wood, helping to expel negative energies within special curing rituals and ensuring good luck.